Good day, everyone. I'm Travis Giffen, the Assistant Director of Online Programs. Thank you for joining us all this evening to learn about the International Education Administration and Leadership, CERT. This evening, it is the mouthful. We commonly call that IEAL here at the University of Illinois quite often. So if you hear us say IEAL or see that listed, that is referring to International Education Administration and Leadership. With that, I have a few quick polls for everybody to let us know a little bit about who they are in the audience this evening. Really appreciate that input. That helps us anticipate questions and some other things that we might get towards the end. While we're getting started, just so everybody knows, you have been muted. You can unmute your microphone later when we get to the Q&A portion, and your webcam is also turned off at this point in time. There will be plenty of time at the end for Q&A, but if you have questions during the session, you can go ahead and type those in the chat, and we might either be able to answer them right away, or we might answer them a little bit towards the end or during the Q&A portion. Along with myself, I'm joined with some others from the university and with online programs. We have Professor Allison Witt, who will be sharing some information with us later this evening. We have the head of online programs, Sangeeta Gopalakrishnan. She'll be sharing some information, might be answering some questions in the chat as well. And we have our online student advisor, Brianna Davis, who is also here in the chat with us this evening. So while folks are still getting signed in, let us know where you're at, where you're from. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. What are you interested in learning about this evening at this information session? And what is your interest in international education? I'm going to give folks another minute to think about that. Maybe share some information about themselves here in the chat. And then we will go ahead and get moving into the presentation for this evening. Again, thank you all for that information. Really appreciate the input. Looks like we have a few folks that learned about us from the Coursera platform, a number of people that also learned from our email announcements, a lot of folks with bachelor's and master's degrees. It's great to see everybody here this evening. And it looks like we have a mostly prospective students. We have an alum here with us this evening, and a couple current students. A lot of interest in international education administration and leadership, so you are in the right place this evening. And with that, I'll leave the poll open here as folks, some folks are still joining us, but we will go ahead and get things started. To get things started first, Sangeeta is going to share a little bit of an overview on the graduate certificate with us all.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this evening's session. My name is Sangeeta Gopalakrishnan, and I'm so glad to see so many of you here. As Travis mentioned, Dr. Witt will be speaking to you in depth about the program, but I wanted to give you an overview of what kind of an educational offering the CERT is. CERT is our abbreviation for this graduate certificate. Let me move the poll out of the way here. So it is a post-baccalaureate certificate. What that means is that you need to have a bachelor's degree to pursue this program. It is transcriptable. What that means is that the courses that are part of this program and the name of the certificate will appear on your transcript. The credits that you earn, the graduate credits that you earn from this program can be applied towards a degree program. So if you're accepted to a master's degree or a doctoral program, you can apply the credits you earn from this program towards that degree program. You can apply for financial aid. We'll give you more information about that later on. And this online program is available to students or to individuals who are not enrolled in a degree program currently. If you are currently enrolled in a degree program, do not worry, we have some suggestions for what you can do later on, so hang tight. So I guess now we will hand over things to Dr. Witt.
Thank you so much. My hair's grown out quite a bit since that picture. I need to give you guys an updated one. But I like the ones that I look younger in, so we're going to keep it. So hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Allison Witt, and I'm the director for the international programs in the College of Education. And I'm also lead this program. I think it's the most important thing about my work is that I am the current director of international programs. And that means that every day I am working in international education. I spent my day today reading applications for study abroad programs. I'll be doing that late tonight. And I'll also be, working with my colleagues across campus who are similarly involved in international education. So this is very much a program that is for practitioners. It is for people who actually want to practice international education. Now, we all love having time to think about it and spend some time with the theories, and you'll certainly get that opportunity as well. But I think one of the things that really sets our program here apart, and particularly the CERT, is that you will be working with people who are spending their days doing the work. This is a field that turns on a dime. It changes very quickly. And so being able to have that real-time interaction with people in the field is really a terrific advantage to you. So I saw there was a question in the chat about what kind of work it might this might lead to. And I hope that this slide will kind of give you an overview of what to expect. We really try to train you to lead, develop, implement, and even evaluate international programming. Now, this happens in higher education institutions, but it's also becoming more and more common in K-12 institutions as well. You'll also find that there are a number of opportunities in large organizations, businesses, but also within non-government organizations, NGOs around the world. So you really have a broad range of opportunities available to you after you've completed this program. And we have alums who are working in every level of education, from K-12 to higher ed, also in all the other avenues that I mentioned. So it does really give you a skill set and help you document a skill set if you're already working in the field, so that you can really show what you know and be ready to handle the challenges of working in international education in this very dynamic time in which we live. Can go ahead to the next slide. So we do try to keep the curriculum as individualized as possible. And what that means is I will really work with you to look at the courses and think carefully about what's missing in your current training, what's missing in your current education that's really standing between you and the job or the career that you want. And we will look at the courses that we have across a broad range, from global studies to human resources, higher education, all across our coursework, to really see where can we fill in any gaps for you. How can we fill in any spaces where you just don't really have that one missing piece. The other thing that I think is really a fantastic opportunity for you, and I wish I would have had it when I was in school, is the internship opportunity. Now, as you know, University of Illinois, we're very, very global campus. We have international students coming in from, the whole world. And I think we're number one or number two in bringing in international students. Anyway, we're very good at it. And we also have a huge range of study abroad programs. And so there is expertise across our campus that you can draw on and that we will partner you with to develop, again, any of those skills that you feel you're missing, or pieces of the puzzle that you don't quite have when you look at your dream career. And so in these internships, you'll get to actually work virtually with either someone in a study abroad office, or maybe someone in our International Student Services office. We also have study abroad programming that you can participate in. Now, we just posted the other day an info session specifically about the study abroad opportunities, but of relevance to you here today is the way that you can use the study abroad to further create an individualized internship experience for you. So if you, for example, we have a program I'm really excited about for the summer, going to Ecuador and the Galapagos. We will have some students that will join that program, and they will develop an evaluation of it. That way, when they apply for jobs, they can say, I've done a program evaluation of a study abroad program for the University of Illinois. And I will be supporting them in that development of that evaluation, and really how to put that together in a way that's going to be really useful for us as we develop the program, but also as a great example that you can use in a job opportunity. So we also will have students that will put together a study abroad program and develop that program, alongside ours. That's also an opportunity where you can say, I've developed a study abroad program, and I'll show you how to put together a document that reflects that. So we really, do let you choose from the whole world to find anything that you need to kind of put together whatever's missing in your current education to get you into that career track that you really want. We do have at our service a wonderful network of students, graduate students all over the world currently, many of them working in international education. We have alumni, of course, from the University of Illinois all over the world. So you have this huge global network that you can tap into and really design exactly what it is that you want to study and research and learn in order to get into that career track that you're aiming towards. Okay. Yeah, so talking a little bit here more about the specific learning outcomes. We will definitely be looking at globalization processes globally, right? We'll be looking at those very broadly. So at a high level, particularly in GSE courses, we use all these acronyms, Global Studies and Education courses, you will be thinking about how globalization impacts different levels of education. Now, this is really important in international education work because you want to be aware of how power relationships work around the world. What sort of, unintended consequences might be tied into some kind of study abroad program that you develop? What does it mean to bring international students into this country? And what sort of supports might we need in order to make that an ethical thing to do, right? So we'll really be looking carefully at the way these the globalization process is impacting people's lives and therefore their education, and think about what is your role going to be actively in that process. How are you going to make that more equitable, more beneficial, better for students, better for communities, better for their home communities and the local communities in which they will come into? So there's a lot of things to consider. And to be quite frank with you, in international education, you're usually so busy putting out fires and dealing with one crisis after another that you don't often have time to really sit and think through these bigger issues. And yet they're critically important because it does have long-term impacts on people's lives and on their communities. And so we really want to give you space to think through some of these big issues and to do that in a context where you have other practitioners, other experts, other education experts to really talk through what all of this means that we are doing, and do it with great intention rather than just on the fly, which is what I sometimes feel like we get pushed into doing. Now, certainly we will also, allow you opportunities to really strengthen those networks and connect you to those University of Illinois networks. That's going to be so valuable to you wherever you end up working, because for the rest of your life, you will be running into Illinois alumni wherever you are in the world. And so it's a good thing, because then you have this connection and you can open doors all over the world with that. So I think it can be really, really just so valuable if you are in the field of international education. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this already, but just to kind of go through here, some of the positions that students have gone on to, you can see here kind of a wide range. And again, that's why we really do want you to help us by, looking at the courses carefully and thinking about which ones really make the most sense for you, what it is you want to do, where you see yourself headed. And then we'll work with you to choose the courses that'll help you get there. I'm trying to think if there's anything not on this list, but it looks like we've got a pretty comprehensive list here. So that's all I think for that. Okay, so you do take 3 courses. And again, there's a lot of flexibility there. We'll recommend some. We have some that we recommend to you, but really try to keep it open and let you choose from the wide array that we have. It can be a little daunting, don't get flustered or overwhelmed when you look at all the course choices. I can talk with you about what works. You'll talk with other students in the program. You will get a lot of advice and guidance in which courses to choose. So, if you start scrolling through that list, don't panic. You don't have to sort through it all by yourself. We will certainly work with you, and other students will as well. It's a very, everyone in the program is really dedicated towards international education, international engagement, and they really want to be in that space having an impact. And so because of that, I think the kind of people that like that become, very, very close. It's a close-knit group. They work together, they support each other. It's not the kind of cutthroat environment where, you're trying to get in front of the other person and push them out of the way. It's not like that at all. Like those old shows about law school. It's not like that. It's a very warm, supportive group that's really trying to help you find opportunities. Because we're working all over the world, we know there are more than enough opportunities for all of us, and we're really trying to help each other to find those opportunities and to figure out what makes the most sense for each person. And we do have people recommending each other jobs, positions, helping each other, locate places around the world. So it's a really great group to be a part of. You can see here the courses that we have. And again, super flexible. We'll really work with you on this, and you don't have to, you're not on your own picking these courses. We'll talk with you depending on your goals and help you choose the ones that really make the most sense. Next slide.
Thanks, Allison. At this point in time, Brianna's going to jump in and share some information.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Brianna Davis. I'm the online student advisor here in the Office of Online Programs. I work in conjunction with students, faculty advisors to just kind of help you as you navigate your way through the program, as you take a look at your course options and access different student resources and things of that nature. So at this time, I want to talk a little bit about the logistics of this program. We're going to begin by talking about the course structure. Just so you are aware, for our fall and spring semesters, our courses are held in 8-week terms. So a lot of you may be familiar with a traditional 16-week fall and spring semester. We actually host our courses on shorter terms. So we offer an 8-week term during the beginning of that fall semester, and then a second 8-week term during the end of that fall semester, likewise for spring. So we refer to these parts of terms as part of term A and part of term B. So the first 8 weeks is going to be part of term A. Second 8 weeks will be part of term B. What this means is that your courses will meet over the span of an 8-week time frame, and most of our students, because they are working professionals, choose to take just one course at a time during these 8 weeks. So they can really focus all of their time and energy on that one course, which we have found has worked really well, especially for our working professionals. Each of our courses is worth 4 credit hours each. Most classes will have a weekly synchronous session requirement. So usually these courses will meet during the evening hours for about 2 to 2.5 hours at a time. They're typically hosted on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays. So we don't usually host courses over the weekend. And then in addition to those synchronous sessions, students will complete asynchronous assignments during the week. Attendance at these synchronous sessions is typically required. However, attendance policies are certainly unique from one instructor to the next. So if you are planning and enrolling in this program, we encourage you to do so only if you anticipate that you will be able to make attendance possible at those synchronous sessions. So if you have further questions about this, please let us know. We can give you kind of an idea of what your course schedules might look like. In terms of the cost, beginning fall of 2022, the cost is going to be $500 per credit hour. Again, in our program, our courses are going to be worth 4 credit hours each. Students are not going to be charged for the typical on-campus fees since this is a remote program. And then just keep in mind that from one semester to the next, tuition is certainly subject to change. But again, at this time, $500 per credit hour is the current tuition rate for our online programs. If you are interested in seeking financial aid, you do have to be considered as a full-time student. So full-time enrollment for financial aid purposes is 6 credit hours per semester. So because our courses are each worth 4 credit hours, this means that you will need to take 2 courses per semester in order to qualify for financial aid. Again, the way that most of our students will do this is they'll take 1 course during the first 8 weeks and another course during the second 8 weeks of the semester. So they're still focusing on 1 course at a time, but they're taking 2 courses total for the duration of that semester. If you are seeking full-time enrollment for other purposes, whatever those purposes might be, full-time for other purposes is considered to be 12 credit hours per semester. So again, if you have any questions about that, please let us know. Admissions are going to be handled through the graduate college application. It's a completely online application, which we've linked here. If you go to our website, you can certainly access that. And you can also access some helpful information about how to apply. There's kind of a step-by-step guide that includes all of the different parts of the application. Admissions to our CERT program follow the same protocol as our admission to our other graduate programs. So the program makes an admission decision and the graduate college approves that decision based on campus requirements and processes admission. So if you do have questions about admissions and or the application process, again, please let us know. So we do have several different deadlines for our admission and applications. We are operating on a rolling admission basis, which means that we're always admitting students for upcoming terms. Because we operate on those 8-week part of terms, we admit students for 6 different start dates a year. So we have our fall A, fall B, spring A, spring B, and then summer A and summer B. So our next application deadline is going to be for our summer A term. For your reference, our summer A term will begin in May. So if you're interested in beginning this program as early as May, that application deadline is going to be April 15th. If you are in a position where maybe you're seeking a fall start date, kind of a little bit more on a traditional schedule with starting in the fall, that application deadline is not until July 15th. So the good news is that you have plenty of time to get your application in. And if you miss one deadline, you're not that far away from another one. In terms of tuition costs, I know we already kind of touched base on this a little bit, but tuition again is going to be $500 per credit hour. Again, there are no campus fees included in that cost since this is built to be a remote program. Again, our courses are 4 credit hour courses. So if you're trying to think of tuition in terms of price per course, just keep that in mind. And as Allison previously noted, this is a 12 credit hour program. So if you're thinking in terms of total program cost, that's something to think about as well. If you are interested in seeking financial aid, you can certainly contact our University of Illinois Student Financial Aid Office directly as a kind of first starting point. If you are interested in seeking financial aid, you will be required to fill out the FAFSA. That can be accessed at fafsa.gov. And when you're filling it out, be sure to include the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign on your application. So that way we can have your information sent to our Office of Student Financial Aid. And more information can be found online. It's going to be education.illinois.edu/online/certificate. So we hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Brianna. So I believe I wanted to also mention to those who are current students an option. So you may remember that I had mentioned earlier that the CERT, C-E-R-T, graduate certificate option is available to those who are not currently enrolled in a program here at the University of Illinois, a degree program. So if there are 1 or 2 of you in the audience who are current students and you're wondering about what options there are available for you, we have a certificate of specialization option, and that is a link to find out more about this. I'm also going to say that volunteer Brianna Davis. So if you're a current student and you want to know about this option, I would say just reach out to Brianna Davis and she could fill you in on more. So Travis, can you actually skip to 2 slides? Let's skip this one also. And that's actually you then. So it's back to you, Travis.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. So just sharing a little bit about career services. We get this question from time to time from folks. So we do have asynchronous career services presentations that are available through the university. And then we also have synchronous sessions that are offered each semester in conjunction with both from the Office of Online Programs and the Graduate College. And then current students can also always schedule individual sessions with me to talk about career strategies or questions. A lot of times questions about how to best set up their LinkedIn account or input on that comes up quite often. And I am available to help with all sorts of questions related to career choices and decisions. With that, I'm handing things back to you, Sangeeta.
Thanks, Travis. So you heard some really interesting information from Dr. Witt and from Travis and Brianna. So if you're still undecided about whether to pursue this certificate program from the University of Illinois, let me give you some final thoughts to keep in mind. So the University of Illinois, as you know, is a top-tier research university. We have been ranked number 3 for the 3rd consecutive year by US News and World Report for our online Masters in Education programs. And this ranking is based on both affordability and quality. And being a top-tier research university, we have world-class faculty here. We make online student engagement a focus. So a lot of us are spending a lot of time trying to make sure our online students are engaged in their learning. We also try to help create a community for our online students. So it's an enriching learning experience. you will be in classes with peers that really have very diverse backgrounds. They come from all over the world, so you will benefit from learning with and from your peers as well. And being a top-tier research university, the University of Illinois has extensive resources for online students. We have one of the best library systems amongst all public universities. Next, please, Travis. So if you're interested in knowing more about our US News and World Report rankings, we have a story here that'll be linked to the presentation, and you can view that later on. So do think about pursuing this option with us. And it's quite easy. You can apply right now. That's all you need to do. But I'll hand it back to Travis, and then I think we're going to go into Q&A.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so right now we're moving into the Q&A portion of our presentation. I saw some questions that were asked in the chat. We can go ahead and get started with some of those while folks are thinking of other questions. If you would like to ask your question, ask that you use the raise hand function here in Zoom, and I can call on you and you can ask your question, or you can go ahead and keep typing them in chat, and I will be sure to read those off so that we can get some of those questions answered. I think one of the first questions that I saw was, how does this program intermix with LER? Allison, do you know the answer to that?
Sorry, what's LER?
I wonder if it's labor and employment relations program. Is there any connection with if LER is, if that's what the person is asking about, labor and employment relations? But
okay, well, probably then you would you'd just be taking courses, to fill in around that. So there wouldn't be any direct connection. I don't think anything would probably double count. I'm not sure how that works. But what we would be doing is, you probably would just be looking for the international pieces to kind of add to your LER degree. And so probably we'd look at, some of the coursework in global studies, I'm guessing. And then also we might want to look at some of the study abroad programming that I was talking about to see if there's a region in the world you're particularly interested in, or if there's an area that you need to develop expertise. I think if it is LER, then I think that would be, if it's labor, then that would be somewhat similar to our HRD. And so I think it could work really well just to add those international pieces around it. But we'd want to sit and look carefully at your courses before you pick something and really make sure that we, add on and not just duplicate stuff that you're already doing.
Thanks for that.
Perhaps, sorry, Travis.
I was just going to say.
Stephanie could get in touch with Brianna and possibly you as well.
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Yeah, and to just clarify, we've got our online programs email address here, so that is a great way to get in touch with myself, Travis, or Sangeeta. If you would like to get in touch with Dr. Witt, we can certainly forward any inquiries as appropriate to her as well.
Thanks for that question, Stephanie. And she was able to, they were able to clarify that, yes, labor and employment relations. So okay. That was correct.
I'll just drop my email in the chat too, in case anyone wants to reach out.
Thanks for that, Allison.
Mm-hmm.
I am getting back to some of the other questions. Thanks again, everyone. So we did have Kristen, could you let us know if we got your question answered or not? I saw that you were interested in knowing more about this, potentially coming on to this. Looks like maybe you were looking at starting with this, either going into an MA, EDD, or exploring the PhD program. I know that I think maybe Alice could expand on this, or maybe even Brianna, but we have had students that have started with the CERT with the intention of building into one of the other programs here at the University of Illinois.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to kind of get your feet wet and see how it seems. I will warn you though, it's super addicting. Once you start taking the courses, and even students that are finishing their EDDs are saying, okay, now what am I going to do? so just so you know, you might get hooked. If you start with the CERT, you could be here through the EDD, which is fine for us, but you just want to know going in, it's an addicting thing.
Just to kind of stem off of that and in alignment with Kristen's question here, we do offer the Master of Education program and the Doctor of Education program, which is the EDD, online. We do not offer the PhD program online. That would be a campus only program. So just for your reference. And then also students who are in the CERT program cannot be enrolled in another degree program at the same time. So if you chose to go this route, what that would look like is you would pursue the CERT first, and then upon completion of the CERT, you could apply to one of our degree seeking programs, but we can't allow students to be enrolled in both at the same time. So if you have further questions about that and the logistics of planning that out, please let us know. But I just wanted to clarify that yes, that's certainly an option. We'll just have to coordinate accordingly.
And then they asked a follow-up if the CERT classes can be stacked into the EDM or EDD program, translating their question a bit here. And that is correct, they can, especially for the EPOL program. So that's Education Policy, Organization, and Leadership, EDM and Master's program. If you are looking at one of the other programs offered through the College of Education, we definitely encourage you to reach out to us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu, only because there's a little bit more intrication. It's a little bit more complex when looking at some of the other program requirements. And so it would be probably better for us to talk with you one-on-one. I know there was also another question about application materials. I am just posting the link that has some information about how to apply. Just for general reference, some of the items that you would need to include would be a personal statement, which provides evidence on your professional experience and prior academic work focused on towards your thinking for the program that you're applying for. You would also need to include either a resume or CV. Letters of reference are also required for the program transcripts. And then the minimum GPA, which I believe is 3.0 to get started with the CERT program. If you have more questions about those, we'd be happy to share those. You can get started with the application process without having official copies of everything, and you can go ahead and start your application without having letters of reference ready to go immediately also. Your references can get those submitted at a later date, and so you can go ahead and start that application without feeling that you have to have all of that lined up and ready to go before you hit the apply button.
And yeah, just to expand on that point, Travis, when you go to create your application, you'll also create login credentials, which will allow you to save your progress as you go and revisit that application as necessary. So don't feel like you have to have everything ready to go right when you begin that application process. If you need a little bit more time to think about your personal statement, you are absolutely welcome to do so. So just something to keep in mind, that you won't need to carve out a large chunk of time to complete your application all in one sitting.
I don't think I missed any of the other questions in the chat, but if I did, I apologize. Please feel free to ask them again.
Travis, I see one question here. I don't know if you saw it. How do we get courses approved for the certificate? So that is a question from Lydia. I would say go to the, if you are choosing from the options that Dr. Witt shared earlier, there's no approval needed, but I'll let Dr. Witt elaborate if you want to, Allison.
Yeah, sure. So what you'll do is if you're picking from those that are listed here, you don't have to do anything. If you pick something completely off this list, or if I tell you to, then we'll have to do some kind of form. And at that point, I will say, oh dear, I'm not sure what we do. Let's ask Brianna. And then she will pick it up and get us on to do the right thing. Because sometimes there may be something that's specific just to you. And so we'll just get that approved just for your case. So you're not limited to the courses that are here. But these are, kind of our best guess of what we think you'll probably do. But then you may end up adding something else, and Brianna will help us figure out how to get it through the paperwork, get the paperwork side of things done. And yes, someone put in the chat that she's great at taking care of all of this. And I can say, yes, she is. So I'm always throwing challenges at her, and she's able to get it sorted somehow. So, so it's just nice to have someone that really, makes sure we're getting all of that side of things done, so that they're, you have everything, all your ducks in a row when it comes time to get the certificate.
It's a collaborative effort, and we really care about our students, and we really want you all to be successful. So we do our best to work together to help you as you make your way through the program. So if you ever have any questions, whether you're a student or a prospective student, please reach out to us.
Thank you again for all the great questions. I'm gonna go ahead and we have one more poll. If everyone could let us know their thoughts this evening, just give us some quick feedback. We really appreciate it. As I see questions starting to wind down a bit, as folks might be thinking of some other questions that they might have, you still have time for that. But before anybody takes off, I just wanted to get that feedback question from you all. So thank you so much.
So as you're completing the poll, I also wanted to reiterate that if you've been out of school for a while, or if you're not sure you want to take up an entire degree program, a certificate is right for you. You can ease yourself back into graduate studies with a certificate. So it's something for you to think of that way. And of course, it's an additional credential. If you already have a degree program, that would be a great additional credential.
I did see a great question came up in here. What's the difference between global studies in education and international administration, education, leadership?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We get that a lot. So the IEAL is the International Education Administration Leadership. We just call it IEAL. That's really more practitioner focused. So we'll really be, thinking about how do you do this thing? How do you take action either in a higher education institution or in your K-12 setting or in an organization? How can you think about and make good decisions about the kind of actions that you're going to take. So within that framing, you are a part of the international process, and your decisions, your actions, your engagement with students and others is a part of globalization as a whole. And so you really have to think carefully about how to take that action. So it's really more focused on, as a practitioner, as someone acting in that space. For GSE, that's actually, I actually got my doctorate a long time ago in global studies in education. And in that program, we really focused more on the process and how it's functioning, especially at above government levels and those kinds of things. So you're really looking at doing research or doing work where it's not so much you taking the day-to-day action to be engaged. It's really more of a research focus and thinking more about global studies as a process, as a global process. And so there's a lot of overlap, and certainly, you know, you can use a lot of the global studies courses towards IEAL and vice versa. so you'll definitely meet people that are in kind of that space, regardless of which one you choose. There'll be a lot of overlap.
Just as a reminder, this session is being recorded. It should get out to everybody about 12 hours after the session ends. If you have any questions that you think of later, you can reach us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu, and we will be happy to answer those questions. And as Brianna just shared in the chat, you can also schedule individual advising appointment through that same email. And we're always happy to answer questions and help you make the best decision that works best for you. Give everybody maybe one more minute to think of any questions. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for this evening. Really appreciate you all joining us. Hope we got your questions answered. And we really hope to see you as a College of Education student. All right, looks like we got all the questions answered. Thanks again, everybody. This is Travis Giffen with Online Programs at the College of Education. Thank you again for joining us this evening, or at whatever time it is for you around the globe. Really appreciate it, and take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.